Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how you can easily color grade your footage all within Adobe Premiere Pro. Before we get into that, I have a free guide below on how to get started in real estate video. Just click the link below and you can get yours there. When it comes to color grading, one of the first things that we look at is LUTs. LUTs are very simple as they are pretty much filters for video. Just as you go on Instagram and just before you post a photo, you have different filters that you can add to your photos. Well, that's called the filter. And for videos, it's called LUTs. So we can use various different LUTs just before we go ahead and color grade all of our footage to make our process easier and a lot faster. It's just like how we do with when we edit photos. So by applying a LUT, we can easily get a quick and easy grade out of our footage, and then we can make some micro grades, micro adjustments on top of that. So let's jump into Premiere so I can show you exactly how I do that. So now that we're in Premiere, this is going to be the first footage or the first clip that we're going to go ahead and color grade. Since we're in Premiere, if you edit on DaVinci or Final Cut Pro, doesn't matter. The layout is kind of what the structure of how we edit these videos is going to be like. We're going to be applying a LUT, then we're going to be making some minor adjustments and whatnot. And all of that stuff is obviously different on each platform, but the structure of how we do it is pretty much the same. So this is going to be the first clip. It's an exterior clip right here. This is exactly how it is ungraded, and this is how I graded it right after. So that's technically an after, and here's a before, and then after, and then before. So you can see that there is some adjustments that we make on that. So let's go ahead and start that. The first thing that we do is we drag over an adjustment layer. If you're working on Premiere Pro, go ahead and hit new item, adjustment layer, and then drag it right over into that timeline. So once we have the adjustment layer, we're going to go up to the color tab up here, and here's all of our different type of adjustments that we can make. Make sure that we're clicked on the adjustment layer and nothing else. And technically, since this is a C-Log footage, which is a little bit more of a raw video file type than you might have on any other type of camera, I kind of have to grade it a little bit differently. So the first thing I'm going to pretty much do is I'm going to go to color wheels because I want to bring back all these shadows and whatnot. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to these shadows and I'm going to start bringing it down. And let's bring it down more. And now I'm starting to see the shadows, and they're the shadows are starting to get a lot better, and they're not looking as faded. Midtones, I might want to bring them up just a tad, just a little bit. Highlights, I think I like where they're at. I'm not going to really touch it. So if you want to see the before and after on this, this is kind of what that makes that. And it already improves it like really, really well as it is. So just adjusting the shadows, midtones, and highlights, you can grade it to a really great, this is really good as it is. So after that, then we'll be looking into LUTs. Now, I already have a set of LUTs that I already imported into my software. So all of these. I bought these LUTs and I just pretty much use them for all it just makes it easier when it comes to finding a look for the certain type of video that you want to get. So I already know good thing about Premiere is that once you have these LUTs logged in, you can easily just use these handles here and just see how your footage is going to look like with that LUT on. Now obviously it's a little too much, so that's why we can go ahead and adjust the intensity of it. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I already know which one I'm going to go for, so I'm going to go for this one right here, and I'm going to apply it. And notice how it's super blue, like that's not what we're going for. So I always bring the intensity down to 0, and then I just incrementally bring it up until I feel satisfied with it. So like this one, I was satisfied with it like around 20, 22, 23%, around that area. So that's kind of how I like that one. And you can see the before and after on it. It makes it a little bit more bluer, it makes it a little bit more cooler. It's just the type of look I'm going for. So now after we've added a LUT, this is pretty much good to go. I mean, other than some basic minor adjustments, which we're going to do next, but we're starting to see it come along very easily. So then we'll come over to basic corrections, and I'll go ahead and increase the exposure a little bit, just a little bit, because I don't want to blow out the sky so much. Contrast, I'll bump that up just a bit. Highlights, the highlights are pretty good as it is. I can bring them down just a little bit, which I will. Shadows, I'm not going to touch them because we've already touched them, even though you can touch them again if you'd like to. And then another thing would be saturation. I'm going to go ahead and boost up the saturation a little bit so that we can get some of this good greens and blues in here. So if we wanted to look at everything that we've just done and we see a before and after, I'm going to go ahead and hit this button right here. And that's what it looked like before, and that's what it looks like after. So it makes a dramatic difference as to what we were before. It might look like a little simple thing, but it takes your footage to a whole nother level when you can grade it. And I don't know how long that was, but it was, since I was walking through with it, it obviously would be a lot quicker once you do it on your own and you're just doing like all your shots back to back. So that was for this outside shoot. Look, if you want to see what it looks like, this is what it looks like. So that's what that shot looks like. If without it, if you want to look at it without it, that's kind of like what it looks like without it. And then I'll do it one more time, but with the grade on. So it looks pretty good. So, all right. Again, you can grade this however you want. This is not exactly how you have to grade it. It's just a rough idea of how you could easily grade your footage, because we're not working with people. We're not working with so many different factors. We're just working with real estate, and it makes it so much easier to grade something like that. So here's an interior shot that I have. Again, since it's shot on C-Log file type, I'm going to go ahead and go over to the color wheels and start bringing down my shadows a little bit. Let's see. I think that's pretty good as it is. Midtones, just a smidge. Highlights, let's see. That's pretty good, even though I brought them up a lot. It's not that bad. All right, and then we'll go over to creative, and then I think I know which one I wanted for this one. I think this was a 91. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted 9100. Okay, so as you can see, I can go ahead and adjust the intensity like we did before. So I'll bring it to 0, and then I'll increase it gradually until I feel like I'm happy with it. I think 100's a little too much, so I'll probably bring it down to like around 70, 80-ish area. I think that should be good right there. And then after that, we go over to basic corrections, and this exposure, I can actually increase it a little bit more if I wanted to. I just don't want it to a point where like it's peaking. And what I mean by peaking is that it gets super white that you can't even like see what that detail is anymore. So I'll bring it to like right there. I know that this is peaking, but I'm mainly concerned about the overall area. Contrast will bring that up just a smidge. Other than that, highlights, I can bring them down or I can bring them up, but for this point, I think I'm going to leave them where they're at. Saturation, I'm going to boost it just a little bit, and the reason why is because if you go too much, you start to see too much of like the orange and yellow cast that the lights produce inside the house. So I kind of bring that down. I don't try to go up too high on that, so I'll bring it up just a little bit so we can see at least some color on that. And that is pretty much it. That's what I was going for the interior. I changed the LUT on the interior because exterior shots are different from interior shots. You can always keep the same LUT, or keep the same look, but sometimes it might not look that great, so that's why I had to change up the look a little bit. So for before and after, this is what it looks like before, and this is what it looks like after. So you can see pretty much a big difference in how it looks like once you grade the actual footage. So let's go ahead and show you it. So that's the footage without graded, and then with graded. Pretty solid difference, honestly. Now, one of the last things that I like to do when it comes to grading our footage is always adding a little bit of sharpness to the end. And it's very important because even though we're shooting at 1080p or 4K or whatever it is, most of our footage doesn't really come out as sharp as it really can. So adding sharpness can really make a difference on how the overall clarity of your footage looks like. So in Premiere, we're going to go ahead and drag another adjustment layer on top. You can do it within the same adjustment layer, but I like to keep it on a separate adjustment layer so that I can always toggle it on and off. It's just easier workflow for me. So I'll come up, click on that adjustment layer, and then I'll come over to, I think it's creative right here. I'm going to go over to sharpen, and I'm going to just bring that sharpness up just a little bit. So it might be a little hard to see right now, but if you look at it, there is a slight difference in the clarity of that sharpness, or in the clarity of this video. and it makes a difference in the end. In the end, it makes a difference, and I think it's very important that you always add that. Now, because I know that it's probably going to be the same on all clips, I'm just going to go ahead and drag this over, hit C, cut this one, hit V, delete that, and now it's pretty much the same sharpness on this one too. And we can turn it off and on, and you'll see a slight difference in like the punchiness of the clarity. It's really important. I think it makes a big difference on the end result of your video, of your footage. But that is pretty much a basic workflow of how I do color grading for my real estate videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, there's going to be a free guide below on how to get started in a real estate video. If you're interested in that, just click the link below. And other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll always try to be coming out with new videos, and I can't wait to see you guys. Until next time, see you guys later.